Today in the book of James, we learn about pure and undefiled religion. Hi, my name is Keith, and this is My Daily Walk. Thank you once again for joining me on My Daily Walk as I'm walking through the book of James. And today we're in James chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. And in these two verses, we will see what James has to say about the tongue and how that relates to our walk in Christ. As we have heard through previous lessons and videos, we see that this book is really to build maturity. And so as we walk faithfully in Christ, we long for maturity in Him. So let's go to James chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction and to keep oneself unstained from the world. We know that the heart is a barometer for our faith. And if we have a defiled heart, then that is going to show in the things that we say. He tells us that what goes into a man is not what defiles him, but what comes out of him. And it reminds me of the verses in Matthew where he's talking about the Pharisees, and they have all these things on the outside that make them look so religious, but on the inside they're defiled and they're, as Jesus puts it, like dead men's bones. They whitewash the tomb, but inside there's still a dead man in there. They clean the outside of the cup, but on the inside of the cup, it's still full of germs and bacteria and things that defile it. And so that's what James is saying with us today, that our tongue is a barometer of what's inside of our heart. The book of Proverbs tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So the things that we say can bring life to the hearer, or they can bring death to the hearer. We have a choice. We can choose to build people up, or we can choose to criticize and tear them down. So if we outwardly appear to be worshiping God and doing the kind of religious things, going to church, reading our Bible, but we're tearing people down with our mouth and our tongue and the things that we say about them, then James is saying that that religion is worthless. And he goes on into chapter 27 to show us what true religion looks like. Now, religion's kind of gotten a bad rap. I know there's things out there that say, you don't want to be religious, you want to have a relationship, and all of those other kind of quotes about religion. But the whole idea is that being religious means that you're putting on a performance or an idea that you behave or act a certain way. But the reality is your heart is far from God. James says our true religion is that which shows and displays the character of God, not only in our actions, but in our speech as well. So James gives us a couple of examples. He uses the examples of a widow and an orphan. And I don't think that this is all inclusive. I don't think he's saying that if you want to show your true religion, then go care for widows and orphans. But I know that that was an important thing back in that day. And so today he's using those two things as an example to say, if you have true religion, if your heart is right, if you're speaking the things of Christ, then your religion will show that you care about other people. You care about the widow. You care about the orphan. You care about those who are less fortunate than you, and you do something about it. You don't just do it on the outside, but you also have a heart that longs to do it, because a true follower of Christ walks it out. True religion walks out his faith. So if we are just going to church maybe once a week or once a month and occasionally picking up our Bible and then sitting at home and we're watching television or browsing social media all day and just doing those things that kind of get us by throughout the day so that we can wake up and do it again tomorrow, that's not true religion. And that's not what having a relationship with Christ is all about. Now, those things aren't bad in and of themselves. Of course, we all watch a show here and there, and I browse social media just like everyone. But the point that James is making is that if your faith doesn't have action, then it is not a true faith. So my question to you today and to myself is, what does true religion look like for me? What does true and meaningful worship to Christ look like for me? And I know it's different for each one of us. And that's what I like about the book of James. As we go into this walk of maturity, as we continue down that road and down that path so that we can look more and more like Christ, he's going to prune different things from my life than he is from you. He's going to check my heart in a different way than he's going to check your heart. Because Christ wants us to be mature in him. He wants us to grow and to have fellowship and to serve the body and to serve the needs of others before we focus on ourselves. There's a little phrase I like to use, or an acronym I like to use, which I received from my pastor one time, and I know he received it from a pastor as well, but it's not new, but it definitely is profound, because as you think about this little acronym, it makes you realize that it's not about you, that true religion is about others. And so it's the acronym of JOY, J-O-Y. And what you do with that acronym is you take the J, and it's for Jesus. And the O is for others, and the Y is for yourself. And if we keep the things of life in that order, we focus on Jesus, we love him, we care about him, we worship him, and then we serve others, then we focus on ourselves, that's where our joy comes from. And when we get that messed up, just like the acronym, it doesn't spell joy. And we find ourselves constantly looking to try to serve ourselves or figure out what is the next thing that I can do to bring pleasure to myself. But J-O-Y, Jesus, others, and yourself, fits right in with what we're talking about, because earlier in these verses we were talking about joy. And so I think that as we go through this study and we look at what James has to say, and the true religion is really about serving others, as we do that, we can say, I am walking in greater maturity. So if you're struggling with that today, or you're struggling with any other thing in your life, feel free to connect with us. We would love to pray with you. We would love to encourage you and walk alongside you during this challenging time. And if you are really filled with the joy of the Lord, then bless you today. Share that with someone else. Share the joy that you have in Christ with a neighbor or a friend or the guy at the grocery store, or whoever that may be. Share the joy of Christ with others. Jesus, others, and yourself. So may God bless you today as you walk daily in Christ. Have an awesome day.